This is Rose Gold, and today we're going to be getting into part 3 of What If Naruto was a Senju. If you want a part 4, then 8 likes, but without further ado, let's get straight into it. As the man appeared on the sword, Kakashi's face went from slightly anxious to serious. The man on the sword, named Zabuza, spoke. Kakashi. He paused. Kakashi of the Sharingan. We meet again. Sasuke looked around. Of the Sharingan? But Kakashi wasn't an Uchiha? Suddenly, Kakashi grabbed his headband that had always shielded his left eye and pulled it up to reveal a red eye with 3 tomoe. Everyone, except for Zabuza, was shocked, and they instantly began to battle. The battle went pretty much like canon, it being in Kakashi's favor until he made a mistake and got trapped in the water prison. Naruto and Sasuke seeing this were shocked at first, but and Sakura was frozen in place. What could they do? Sakura thought, but Naruto and Sasuke weren't frozen nor terrified. They both had a focused look on their faces, as they both agreed on a plan. Naruto handed him a giant shuriken, which Sasuke threw. Zabuza dodged and laughing. All we can do? Suddenly the shuriken turned into 3 with a giant poof of smoke, and Zabuza got hit right in the stomach with one, and the 3 shuriken transformed into Naruto's, all of which sending water bullets right into the open wound, making blood spurt out of it, and Zabuza scream in pain. Sasuke and Naruto smirked. Their plan had worked flawlessly, and Kakashi was let out of the water prison, and he coughed up a ton of water. But now he had an almost scary expression on his face. He was going to kill Zabuza. Out of nowhere, lightning started to form in his hand as he flew towards Zabuza, and was about to hit him until suddenly a few Zanban pierced his neck, and Zabuza seemingly died. Kakashi still injured Zabuza's shoulder, but he missed the heart. Suddenly, a member of the Anbu, in quotation marks, came to collect Zabuza's body, telling them how thankful they were that they had killed Zabuza for them, as they had not managed to do so by themselves. Then the Anbu took Zabuza away. As Kakashi stood there breathing heavily, he collapsed onto the water, but both Naruto and Sasuke just caught him before he fell. Sakura was still rooted to the ground by Tazuna's side. She had not been able to help at all, and she was frustrated at her own uselessness. After helping Kakashi up, Naruto and Sasuke each put one of Kakashi's arms over their shoulders and started to carry him to a boat, which Tazuna prepared before coming to the leaf. Then they went over to the bridge builder's house. After arriving, they gave Kakashi to Tazuna, who prepared a futon for Kakashi to sleep in and recover. The use of the Sharingan had drained the man a lot, and he had also used the Chidori on top of that, so he's basically out cold for 2 days. But when he did wake up, he forced himself to get up just to teach Team 7 one thing, before he collapsed into his futon once more. He showed them the basics of tree walking, then went back inside. After Kakashi went back inside, the team of 3 instantly began their training. Sakura managed to complete the task quite easily, as she had amazing chakra control. However, for the 2 boys, the task was not so easy. They kept on falling and falling, and then marking the tree once they got a little higher. After that, they ate so much they would throw up and immediately began draining once more. In the middle of all this, Naruto still had its meeting with Haku, and that all went the same. This went on until one morning, after Kakashi had finally recovered. Both Naruto and Sasuke finally managed to reach the top of the tree, but when they got down, they instantly began arguing who was the first one who had cleared the challenge, which made Kakashi chuckle. These two were becoming great rivals. And the next day, the team set off. Naruto had befriended the small child and left a shadow clone with him to play with him, but that shadow clone turned out to be very useful, as it knocked the 2 ninja out who tried to hurt the kid and its mother. Back to Team 7, they had just arrived on the bridge with Tazuna, and there to meet them was Zabuza and a masked subordinate next to him. The subordinate had an oddly familiar looking hairstyle. Kakashi looked back at Naruto and Sasuke and told them, "You two go after the masked one. I'll go for Zabuza." Sakura butted in. "Sensei, what do I do?" Kakashi quickly replied, "Stay behind and protect Tazuna. He's the most important person here." Sakura nodded and got out a kunai. Instantly, Naruto and Sasuke went off at the masked subordinate and began to fight. Sasuke and Naruto together were a very hefty match, and the masked subordinate started to struggle against them after a bit, so the subordinate used their most powerful technique, unleashing a ton of ice mirrors surrounding the two genin. Naruto and Sasuke looked around, trying to find a way out. However, the entrance was blocked, and there was no other entrance. So they both tried to use the jutsu. Naruto using a wind-style Gale Palm, and Sasuke using a Fireball jutsu. However, the ice mirrors neither exploded or melted. They didn't even crack or a single water drop, which made them panic a little. As suddenly, the masked person entered one of the mirrors and started moving around them at incredible speeds, throwing Senbons. Sasuke activated his Sharingan so he could follow the speed of the masked person, and Naruto just did his best to avoid the needles, but he wasn't as successful as Sasuke. The Sharingan's perception boost was just too great for Naruto to keep up with. So when suddenly the masked man unloaded a ton of needles onto Naruto, Sasuke's body almost instinctively moved to protect Naruto, and all the needles pierced him instead, and he collapsed onto the ground, but not before Naruto caught him, asking, "Why? Why did you protect me?" Sasuke couldn't reply. The pain was unbearable, and he fainted, but to Naruto it looked like Sasuke had died. Suddenly, orange chakra enveloped Naruto. His mere presence was shaking the bridge, and out of nowhere, massive branches started destroying the mirrors one by one, until the last one, where the masked subordinate was, who quickly jumped out, but got grabbed by 15 branches, all crushing them, breaking their ribs, then throwing them to the ground, their mask shattering. On the ground, and the boy looked at him. He had a very feminine face, and after all the pain, he smiled and asked, "Do you have anyone you fight for yet?" Naruto realized it was Haku, and he stopped in his tracks. But he thought about it, and the orange chakra disappeared from his body. "Yes, I do." Naruto realized he didn't want to just fight him himself and his dream, but for his friends, even the people who hated him. Basically, he wanted to fight for everyone. This made Haku smile, signaling that he accepted death, but Naruto didn't kill him. It was obvious that the boy in front of him wasn't fighting for um fighting for Zabuza just because he got paid or something. He fought for Zabuza because he respected and loved him. Over where Zabuza and Kakashi were fighting, Kakashi was about to finish Zabuza off, but Haku went in front of Zabuza, taking the blow for him, then falling to the ground, dead. Kakashi stopped. What the hell had just happened? But he had no time to think, as Zabuza threw Kakashi away and was completely silent. In front of them, suddenly Gato and his men stood, and Gato kicked Haku's face a little, saying, "Huh, he really is dead," and poked his face with a stick. "You bastard! What do you think you're doing?" Naruto was furious about this and ran toward Gato, but Kakashi stopped him. Then Naruto shouted, but but Naruto didn't let that happen, and he shouted, "You say something too!" He shouted at Zabuza. "He was your comrade, right?" To which Zabuza coldly replied, "Shut up, punk. Haku was already dead." "But weren't you with Haku for a long time?" Naruto said with anger in every word. "As God to use me, I was simply using Haku. What we shinobi are tools. What I wanted were his skills, and not Haku himself. I have no regrets." That was said, and Naruto paused until replying, Do you really mean that?" Kakashi tried to tell him to stop, and how they did not need to fight Zabuza anymore, but Naruto brushed him off. "Shut up! My enemy is still this one." He swung at Zabuza, breathing heavily, then went down. He he really liked you. He liked you that much. Even so, you don't feel anything at all? You really, honestly, don't feel anything at all? When a person becomes as strong as you, does that person really behave like you? He threw his life away for you. He didn't even fulfill his dreams. And yet, to die as a tool? That's messed up. Zabuza paused, but teardrops were falling from his eyes. "Kid, don't say it anymore." He wasn't just thinking of me. He was feeling pain inside for you while he battled you guys too. I know. He was too kind. I'm glad we could fight you at the end. He removed the bandages covering his mouth and asked, "Kid, throw me the kunai knife," which Naruto complied, and Sabusa caught it with his mouth. Then, tears falling from his eyes, killed every single member Gato had with him until taking out Gato at the end. Returning from killing Gato and throwing him into the sea, Zabuza lay down next to Haku in his final moments, wishing he could go to the same place as Haku. Then, Zabuza perished. Now, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe to my boy Vegan Saiyan in the description. This was Rose Gold, and I am out.